My name is Seti and welcome back to the channel where we make educational technology easy for you. In today's video we'll be looking at Word Online and I'm going to give you a complete overview of all the things you can do when using that program. So let's dive into it with another flipped classroom tutorial. Now the first thing we'll have to do is open up our browser and log into our Office account. Now if you do not have an account, you can sign up for a free account. Word Online is available online for free and anyone can access it. So let's go ahead and open up our browser here. Now you'll see I have a number of suggested addresses there, but you can simply go to office.com. Now we're going to go to office.com and then you'll see that at the top we have a number of programs. These are the online versions of all these Office programs. We are going to be looking at Word Online. So let's go ahead and select Word. And this is your main interface. Now this is where you're going to be creating new files, where you're going to access old files, but also where you have a very important addition, and that's templates. Now if you're trying to save some time online, templates will help you do that. So here on the right hand side you'll see there is a button that says hide templates, but you can always show those templates. If you want to see even more templates, simply click on more templates and this will bring you to the main template page. Now as you scroll down you can find a number of different templates and we're going to open up the following MLA styled paper. So we're going to click on that. And this now opens up in a separate tab and it creates a document that I can now edit. Now before we do anything, it's always important to make sure that you've titled your document. Otherwise you'll have a number of untitled documents and copies of various other documents. Now in order for you to title your document, you're going to navigate to the top and you're going to click on that drop down menu. And when you click on that, you will see that you can give it a file name. Now I'm going to give it the name demo document. And there we go. We're going to leave that as one word and then you can also double check the location where it's stored. So if you've organized your OneDrive into separate folders, this is where you can organize your documents into those different folders. I'm going to leave it as it is, and just worth noting, this is also where you can find your version history. So if you have a document that you've been working on for a while, you can always click on version history and this will open up the entire history of that document. When changes were made, who's made those changes, and then you can always return to a previous version. Now I'm going to just leave this as it is and I'm going to go back to my document. I'm now in my document has been given a name. Well, let's start editing our document. Now the first thing to note is that my toolbar here at the top is a very large version. You may see a smaller version and that's because this switch ribbons button has not been pressed. So if you see this version, you can always click on that little arrow down there and then you see the full toolbar version. This gives you a number of additional options that you can then use to format your text, but also to insert different elements onto your text. So now let's go down and let's start editing. We're going to add our name here. I'm going to click on that and I'm just going to type in my name. And there we go. We have an instructor name, course number, let's just make up a random number, and there we go, and then we can add a date. Now because this is a template, it's a very easy process of just clicking on these placeholders and then changing the text. Now as you can see here at the top it says saved, and that's because everything in Word Online is automatically saved. Just make sure that you're online and then those changes will be saved to the cloud. This is a huge time saver and is great for people like myself who often forget to save their documents and then lose work. This is definitely something I enjoy using. Now I am editing this document and as you can see here at the top it says editing, and that's because I'm in the editing mode. You can always switch this to a review mode where you can add comments, or a view only mode. So if you're worried about accidentally changing things, you can go into that view only mode. Now because Word Online has a focus on collaboration, we also have that share button. Now when I click on the share button, I will be presented with the following menu. This allows me now to share this document and add collaborators. So let's go ahead and add one of our other teacher accounts to this document. We're going to add the second teacher account and I'm going to share that with that person. I'm also going to add a message, please find the document, and then we can share it. Now before you share it, do check your permissions. It's very important to always make sure that when you're sharing a document that you're sharing it with the correct permissions. At the moment, anyone with a link can edit. Obviously that is not the most secure way of sharing it, so I'm going to change that. I'm going to change it to very specific people and then they can edit. You can also see I can toggle the following switch that says open in review mode only. That means they will have to manually toggle that switch and go into editing mode. I'm not going to do that, and I'm going to click apply. So this now means that the second teacher account will be given edit privileges, but nobody else can edit that document. So let's go ahead and click on send, and it's now sending an email to that account, notifying them that they've been given access to this file, and then as soon as they jump onto the file, they can start editing. I'm going to close this box now. Now, once you're collaborating on a file, communication is very important. So let's say that you want that second teacher now to action a certain item within the document. Well, you can leave a comment or an action item. This document is for editing, and I'm going to highlight the word document. Now I want him to action this Word document and start filling out all the information. So I'm going to right click on the highlight, and I'm going to select new follow-up. That means that I've now requested the other editors to follow up on this word, and I can give them more information in that comments window. So when I open up the comments window, you'll see the author has asked to follow up, and I can now @mention that person. So let's go ahead and @mention the second teacher. There we go. We're going to select teacher 2, and we're going to ask him to add your content, and then you can send that message. Now, because I've @mentioned him, he will get notified that he has to follow up, and then once he's done that, he can click on those 3 dots, and he can either delete the entire thread or he can resolve that thread. I'm going to resolve it now. There we go. It still keeps a record, and I can always reopen the thread. I can also delete the thread, and when I delete it, it disappears altogether. Now, you don't always have to add action items. You can also, let's say this word editing here, you can also add a comment. When I add a comment, I can simply do the same thing. I can @mention that person, @mention teacher 2. There we go. And then we're going to say, please follow up on this sentence. And we're going to send it. Now, these work in a very similar way, and as you can see here, they can then reply or respond to this comment, and you can start a conversation about the collaboration on this document. We're going to leave this comment open, and we're going to close it. Now, as you can see here, there is a little icon on the page, and that comment is visible next to the document. This makes sure that everyone sees the comments, that it's clear who has been @mentioned and what needs to be done. Now, in terms of adding content to your document, is very straightforward. As you can see here on the home button at the top, we have all our formatting buttons. We can change our fonts. We can add all these fonts here. These are all available online. We can add a font size. We can simply up the size of our font. We can grow our font size, shrink the font size, or clear all formatting. So let's say that I have this Word document, and I'm going to grow that font size, and then after I've changed my mind, I can always clear formatting and it goes back to the default. You can also add other formatting options. Now, in regards to the way your paragraphs look, we have the same options as many of the other word processing software. We have left alignment, we have center alignment, right alignment, or we can even justify our text. We also have a number of line spacing options, and this allows you to change the line spacing to whatever you prefer. Here is an example of using line spacing. There we go. We're going to select these two, and now we can change our line spacing. So we can set it to 1, or we can even go all the way up to 3. And as you can see, the line spacing changes. We can decrease and increase the indentation, we can add numbering, bullet points, all your standard options. Now, one of the things I like using within Word Online is the different styles, because they really save me a lot of time. You can see here we have a number of set styles, and when I click on that drop-down box, we have many more styles. I can have a strong style, and this automatically applies that. We can also have an intense reference style, and as you can see, each style comes with its own formatting. You can also create your own by simply clicking on Apply Styles, and then you can select any of these special styles to a different style name, and you can create your own styles for when you're editing and formatting your document. We're going to cancel this right now, and I'm going to undo that last step. There we go. We're going to go back to our standard document. Now, I could have also used the clear formatting button. Now, typing text is made very easy, but you can also use a speech-to-text option within Word Online. So simply click on this dictate button right here, and then we're going to allow the use of our microphone. Please demonstrate how speech-to-text works on Microsoft Word Online, full stop. And there we go. As you can see here, we have everything that is spoken being transcribed onto Word, full stop. We click on the microphone to turn this off, and we can also change the settings. So here we can change our spoken language, and we can also select auto punctuation. Now, auto punctuation works really well. However, in some cases it's better to not turn it on, and then you can really have your students focus on the punctuation needed, because they have to speak it and they have to use their own thinking to get that punctuation correct. But turning it on is certainly an option. I find the speech to text to work really well within Word. Now, the dictation tool is not the only accessibility tool within Word Online. We also have access to the Immersive Reader. Now, in order for you to find the Immersive Reader, simply go to the top, select View, and then on the left-hand side, you will find that Immersive Reader. Now, we can click on the Immersive Reader right here, and then this opens up the Immersive Reader. We can not only click on play,
demonstrate how speech to text works on Microsoft Word Online,
but we can also change all of the settings that you would otherwise change within the Immersive Reader. So at the top, we can have some grammar options. We can highlight all our nouns. We can highlight the verbs, adjectives. We can even change the color used for these highlights. So let's say that you use rainbow writing, you have one color for nouns, another for verbs. Well, you can change that right here to match up with what's being used in your classroom. We also have the reading preferences. This is where we can change the line focus. So you can see we can select multiple line focuses. So here you can see we have our line focus tools. And then under the text preferences, we can enlarge the font size, or we can make it smaller. We can increase spacing, reduce that, or use different fonts. In addition to that, we have different themes. And as you can see here, there are plenty of themes available to make reading much easier for your students. So this is a great accessibility feature built within Word Online, available for free when you're using Word Online. So let's just close the Immersive Reader now. And seeing as we are already on that view page, let's have a look at a number of other options within this tab. So the View tab not only gives us the Immersive Reader, it also gives us a reading view, and this will turn our document into a read-only document, so we can preview that document. You can see as we scroll down, everything is previewed on different pages. We see what it would look like when we print. We again have that Immersive Reader, and there is the accessibility mode. So when I click on accessibility mode, you can see it turns our document into a clear document of where a comment was left. Also, I can change what things look like. I can fit it to the width, I can draw on top of this. And the accessibility mode allows me to draw onto my document. So you can see here, this is great for highlighting different things. And again, everything is built within Word. We're going to close the accessibility mode now. Let's leave this page and go back to our view mode. We're going to go back into edit document and then edit our document online. Back to that view window. So here we have the navigation, where we are able to quickly look for the outline of our document. We can find and replace words, and we also have our header and footer. Now the header and footer can be added right here. We can add a footer or header to the first page, or a footer and header to all the other pages. However, this is not the only place you can do this. You can also simply click on header right here on your document, and that will allow you to change your header as well. Now let's go into the insert menu and let's have a look at some of the different elements we can insert into our document. Now the most common one that you will probably be inserting into your document is images. Now we have two ways of doing this. We can either use the Bing search to do an image insert, or we can insert a file that is already on our computer. So here you can see we have pictures. When I click on picture, I'm going to upload a file from my computer, or I can simply click on Bing and then I do an image search right here. I'm just going to select a random bird picture. There we go. And we're going to click on insert. This image is now in my document, and I have additional features yet again. So we now have a picture tab, and within that picture tab, I can add an alternative text for when the image is not loading. I can give it various different frames. You can see here, I can give my image different frames. We can have a drop shadow or anything you'd like. I can also select the different wrap text options. So you can see it's inline, or I can have it behind the text. This is great for watermarks on different pages, or I can have it square right. So there we go. We're going to leave that image there. We're going to make it a little bit smaller, make it part of our document. Now you can also rotate this image slightly to make it look even better. Now, in regards to designing your page, Word has a lot of great features, and inserting images is one of those because there are literally numerous of different styles available. We can even have an automatic crop where it puts it into an oval shape. And let's say I want to link out the word demonstrate and send someone to a website. I simply highlight that link and then I insert a hyperlink. So in the insert menu, we're going to select link. And there we go, we can link out to any website. We can also add page numbers or various symbols. And then another one that everyone loves is add some emojis. So here we have a number of emojis that can be added. You can also use the shortcuts. So you can also add Windows full stop, and then you can also add emojis that way. Now in some cases, you'll want to add a table. And when you click on table, make sure you click on that drop down arrow, and then you can select what style of table you'd like to add. So let's say that you want a 2x2 table, it automatically adds that table for you. And again, it gives you a number of different table styles. Click on that drop down arrow and you've got even more styles. In addition to that, you can also change the colors of your table by selecting the change color option. We can add some cell shading. Let's say we want some green and the other one we want to have some blue. Well, we can do that as well. Under the layout tab, we'll find the different indentations and spacing options, and we'll also be able to change the orientation of our paper. So here we can change it to landscape, and you can see everything is adjusted to be landscape. I'm going to leave it as landscape now, and I'm going to change my margins. I'm going to have narrow margins, but you can also add your own custom margins by selecting the option at the bottom. Once you've selected that, you can add your own custom margins. And that leaves us with two more tabs to look at, the Reference tab and the Review tab. Now the Reference tab, this is where we are going to add some footnotes, where we're going to make sure that all the links are correct, and where we can use a function called Smart Lookup. So when I click on Smart Lookup, you will see on the right-hand side, it gives me a number of different results. So when I select Document, Smart Lookup will look for the word document. It's going to pull up everything it can find on my OneDrive storage or on the internet. You can see here, it has a number of different things. It gives me a definition of that word, some web results, and even some help files. It also gives me a number of pictures. So the Smart Lookup is definitely a great one to show your students because it's going to save them time to not only do some research, but also add in images, links to websites, and really make sure that your document is clear, that all their sources are accurate. Now let's say that I want to add in a web result. So we're going to just scroll down and see if we can find a web result. There we go. Products.office. Okay, I'm going to click on those three dots there. And now I can choose, do I want to open this link? When I click on open, it opens in a separate tab. I can investigate this website, see if I like all the information on it. I can also click on those three dots and insert a link to it. There we go. We now have a link to that web result. Or what I like is we can add a citation. So I can now click on citation, and now we have that citation onto our document. So let's go ahead and close the Smart Lookup menu, and let's go to the Review menu. Now you will spend a lot of time in the Review menu because this is where you will find all the information about your document. So here you can see we can click on word count. We immediately get a word count of our entire document. We can see the characters with no spaces, characters with spaces, paragraphs, but we can also click on check accessibility. This again checks the entire document, and it will give us a breakdown of how accessible this document is. You can see here there's some missing alternative text, an image or an object is not in line, and a number of warnings about reading order. We can then recheck this after having made some changes. And now let me show you one of my all-time favorite functions within the Review tab. Now this is also available on the Home tab, but here on the left-hand side, you can see the editor. Now, when you click on the editor, it opens a side window and it gives you a complete overview of your document. It shows you the editor score. Okay, I've got an 88% score and it shows you why. So it gives me 88%. I'm missing a number of spelling suggestions that I haven't looked at. I should also accept or ignore grammar suggestions, and I should accept or ignore suggested refinements. I can go down. You can see there are 3 spelling corrections. When I click on that, I immediately see the suggestions, so I'm going to ignore that because that's my name. And then here I can add a number of additional spelling suggestions. It has some grammar suggestions, but then the one I really like is where you get a breakdown of your refinements. So it shows you the acronyms in your document. Yes, there are acronyms. My clarity, I only get a score of 1 because this word could be a bit clearer for students. It's concise. Formality of the document, it scans the text and it makes sure that you're using formal language. Is it inclusive? How are my punctuation conventions? And it gives you just that breakdown. Same with vocabulary. It gives you some suggestions as to how you can change your vocabulary on the document to make it clearer. As you can see here, we can also check for similarities from online sources. We can check for similarities to online sources, which is very useful in the classroom. And then here it gives us some scores. So we have 171 distinct words, a readability score of 66. It'll take about 2 minutes to read or 3 minutes to speak. And you can review 2 uncommon words as well. These enhancements give you some suggestions as to how you can make your document look better. So overall, I find the editor an incredibly useful feature when you're trying to make sure that your document is accessible to everyone in the classroom. And that's a full overview of Word Online and how you can use it in the classroom. And if you want to find out even more about various online tools, click on the playlist at the top or click on that suggested video down below. I hope you found this helpful, and I will see you in the next one.